Hi Sinead. I've decided to make two videos which I hope will be fairly short. Um, One to just talk about the general construction or structure of an essay, and then this in the second one specifically looking at yours. Um, so this is something we use at Bristol University to explain structure. But it's exactly the same as every other university I've worked in. So it is a kind of a globally recognized structure in the academic community. Um, so what we're looking at here then is an introduction that looks like this. So kind of suggesting or indicating that it moves from general ideas around context and why the topic area is important, and then moving to a more specific thesis statement, which is when you specifically, it's a sentence, maybe two, but it's a sentence or two that specifically answers the essay question. There is often something that's called a scope or map that indicates how the essay is structured. And this is something that your lecturer specifically mentioned, and this is what he kind of meant. What is it that you're arguing? So what's your position or your thesis? And then how are you going to defend that position or thesis in the body of your essay? So that's what these lines here represent. So within each of your paragraphs, you should have this very clear topic sentence, and that topic sentence should have a direct link to your position. And I'll talk to you about specific examples of that in the next video. But it should be clear to the reader every time they read this first sentence. They should see an obvious connection to, okay, this is how the writer is answering or addressing the question. And they can also see how it supports the thesis that you've made in the introduction. So it has that sort of coherent, logical flow about it. The conclusion then has sort of the opposite type of construction to the introduction. So again, it ends with a restatement of the thesis. It then has a summary of the main points that were made, and then it has a general kind of concluding statement that might be a prediction about the future. It might be recommendations, either government policy type recommendations or other recommendations, but it's a more general statement. So the other thing then to note is that you have this kind of core argument that's running through the essay. So again, it's that cohesive element that draws all the arguments together and has this sort of clear message that's being communicated. And again, that's kind of done by these topic sentences, but also by linking devices within paragraphs, but also between paragraphs, which is something I'll talk about in the next video as well. The only other thing then maybe to mention is, as you can see, the introduction and the conclusion should be more or less about 10% of the total essay. So in a longer essay, an introduction might be 2 or 3 paragraphs. From what I've seen with yours, it looks like the word count is about 1,500 words. So that's about 500 words. So it might be 2 paragraphs or 1. Yeah, it depends. But yeah, I mean that's kind of how you work that out, by making it 10% of the word total, more or less. Okay, so that's how the essay should be constructed. I'll make another short video then to outline how that kind of principle applies specifically to your essay.